In this movie, we want to show you our new camera animation feature that seamlessly creates movie frames as the camera moves along our SketchUp defined animation path. To show how this is done, here we are viewing a SketchUp scene showing the exterior of a house and garden area populated with Laubwerk and Evermotion tree and plant proxy models. These are from Bloom Unit's inbuilt component library system. Across the top of the SketchUp viewport, you can see the tabs for our scene or camera positions that we've already set up. So before we move on to the actual camera animation settings, let's start a Bloom Unit session and review these camera positions. Starting with Scene 1. This is where our camera animation will start from. Then, while watching both the SketchUp and Bloom Unit viewport updating, we move the camera onto Scene 2. Next is Scene 3. Then Scene 4. And finally Scene 5. Then, as we move the camera onto Scene DayNight, you will notice that the camera position has not moved, but in the Shadows dialog, you can see the time of day changing from 8:30 AM to 6:30 PM. And, in the Bloom Unit viewport, you'll observe the accurate simultaneous changes of the lighting and shadows over the same period. Before we look at our animation parameters, it might also be a good idea to turn off autosave if you have it enabled. This will maximize the cloud processing resources for producing our movie frames. Next, we start checking our animation parameters. From the View drop-down menu, we open up the Animation Settings dialog. For the camera animation to work, we need to make sure that the Enable Scene Transitions is checked, and in the field immediately below, we can control the movement speed of the camera by setting the number of seconds for the travel time between the scene positions. Here, we increase this transition time to 5 seconds. However, if you just wanted to batch process a set of Bloom Unit images only from your scene positions with no camera animation in between, you can do this by unchecking the Enable Scene Transitions option and use the Bloom Unit animation dialog to automatically produce those images. The scene delay is a setting in seconds that will hold the camera at any scene position before moving to the next scene position. For Bloom Unit animations, this should be set to 0, as it will always be quicker and more efficient to use your movie editing software to simply hold that scene position image for the delay time needed. Now we open up the Bloom Unit Animation Rendering dialog. Starting at the top, by default your SketchUp file name is set as the frame name prefix. This can easily be edited to any other name you prefer. For the output path, this is the location where your frame images will be stored as they are produced. Here, using the Browse button, we navigate and select a folder called BU_frames. For the image type, you can have a choice of JPEG or PNG, either with or without a background transparency mask. Render time is the number of seconds you set to allow the cloud server to process each individual frame image before moving on to the next frame. Frame rate is setting the number of image frames you want to be produced for each second of your movie animation. Here, we edit this number down to 15 frames per second. Start frame number sets the frame number where you want to start producing your frame images from. This is a very handy setting when you want to produce images either over multiple sessions, or you want to reproduce only the frame images that view parts of the scene that you have needed to be changed or edited. Stop frame number is the number of the last frame produced in the current Bloom Unit animation session, And if this number is left at 0, then the frame processing will continue through to the very last frame of the defined animation path. Next, we open the Bloom Unit Render Settings dialog, where we can confirm the frame size and render options, just as we would do for any normal Bloom Unit session. It is particularly important for your animation rendering sessions to make sure you check the lock resolution option. This ensures that your frame size does not unexpectedly change. With these settings checked, we can now commence the animation processing by simply clicking the Start button, which in turn starts a new Bloom Unit session and automatically moves the camera to the start frame number position and begins processing the first image. When the frame render time is reached, that image frame is automatically saved to our selected output folder, and the process begins again for the next frame position. Whilst the rendering viewport is open and running, you can adjust the exposure level interactively. Any other changes will also appear in the Bloom Unit viewport, but the image processing for that current image frame may be at a lower quality due to the shortened remaining render time for that frame. As we jump forward in this screen capture session, you can see the processed image frame files accumulating in our output folder. Once all the image frames have been processed and stored, the Bloom Unit viewport will automatically close down, and if at any other time you want to halt the processing and close the viewport, you only need to click the Stop button. After you have assembled all the image frames for your animation, you can use paid movie editing programs such as Adobe Premiere Pro or Final Cut Pro, or free versions such as NCH VideoPad or OpenShot to easily edit and convert these frames into a high quality movie. Links to these free versions will be in the description below. So, here is the actual final resulting movie from our Bloom Unit animation exercise. If you haven't tried Bloom Unit already, please visit our website at bloomunit.com for a free 14-day trial and experience these amazing production tools and capabilities for yourself. It will change the way you communicate with your customers.